Revitalize Me presents Revitalizing Moments. I'm your host, Tamala Funches, and I'm a certified health and wellness coach. I am a self-proclaimed curiosity coach and juice magician. So the purpose of the show is to uplift and support our community as we navigate this thing called life. On this episode, we will be discussing relationships between mothers and daughters, and more specifically, the lessons we've learned from our mothers and the things that we would like to teach our daughters as they navigate this thing called life. So today I have three beautiful, beautiful ladies, three beautiful mothers and daughters with me today. I have Miss Janae, I have Miss Kawinja, and I have Miss Kendria. Ladies, how y'all doing?
Good.
Good. Good. Welcome. So we're going to just kind of dive right in. So as you know, relationships between mothers and daughters can be very beautiful, but they also can be very complicated. Like, it's something about mothers and daughters that's just like, I mean, it's a blessing to have your mother, but at the same time, sometimes it's just like this clash that we have with our mothers that's just unspoken, unspoken words are just unspoken. It's just a thing. So no matter how you perceive it, though, it is a much needed thing in your life. Like every girl needs her mother. Every girl needs a mother in their life, no matter how you perceive, whether you perceive it as beautiful, complicated. We need that because the relationship we start with our moms, that's going to kind of set the pace of the women that we grow to be. And not only that, the mothers that we grow to be. So be it good, bad, the lessons we learn, the things that we take, the things we want to throw away, all those things accumulate and come together to make us the women who we are right now. So it's a beautiful thing. So let's talk about first, like a little bit about the family dynamics. So growing up, I just want to know, how was your family? Were you raised by a single mom? Did you have a two-parent household? So how did that look? I'll start. For me, I initially had two parents. But when I was about 8 years old, my mom and dad got divorced, so she became a single mom. And I have one sister, so I'm the baby. I have an older sister, and it's her and I. And once my mom and my daddy separated, it kind of like, things changed. So she struggled doing her things, and the family was broken apart, and things just kind of changed. Even between me and my sister, I noticed. So that's really my family dynamic. So let's see, Kawinja, since I see your beautiful face, tell me a little bit about your family dynamics.
So same here. Initially, two-parent home, mother and father, approximately around the same age. I think I was around 7 or 8, maybe 9. My parents divorced, and it was strained. It was difficult. A lot of things took place. My mother got on drugs, which that took another roller coaster ride. So it was very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And then I want to say that my mom also got on drugs after she got divorced. I don't know. My dad was abusive, for one. My dad was very abusive. And so I think that kind of
pushed her,
projected her right into this other world. When she left him, she just kind of like shut down in a way, kind of isolated herself in a way. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because my mom also did the same thing. That's interesting. What about you, Janae? What are your family dynamics?
So initially, again, my parents were married. I don't remember them being married, though. I was about 4 years old when my parents got divorced. And so I was raised by my mother primarily. Eventually, I don't know when it began, I would spend every other weekend with my father, but really like my aunts for the most part. And my mother just worked a lot. I remember her just working a lot to take care of me, and I'm an only child, so it was just me and her, like mostly, until I got a little bit older. My dad was more prominent in my life, but most of my childhood was me and my mother.
Okay. What about you, Kendria? What are your family dynamics?
Um, both parents in the house, and my sister. I am the oldest of three, and my parents are still together.
Wow.
That's awesome. Right, right. So, and you're the oldest of three. You have what do you have? Who are your siblings, boys or girls?
So my siblings, I'm the oldest of three. I have my middle sister and my baby brother, who is not living anymore, but it was three of us.
Okay, good. So you can see right now that our situations are totally different. Like me and Kawinda, we kind of got something similar. That kind of started our life, and that's a whole nother thing. When you go through that, that's like, I mean, it's hard to describe unless you've been in that situation with your mother. And Janae, I didn't realize you were only child. I don't know why I didn't realize that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do have a brother, but it's like a half brother from my dad, and we're 10 years apart. So
okay,
yeah, but
from your mom, you're your mom's only child.
I'm my mom's only child.
Okay, so y'all spent time together, but she was working.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, in one word, how would you describe your relationship with your mom as a child or a teenager? How would you describe your relationship with your mom? What do you think, Janae? How would you describe your relationship if you can describe it in one word?
When I was growing, my best friend.
Best friend, awesome. Elaborate on that though. Why do you think? Well,
when I was growing up, it was like, when I say it was me and her, like it was literally just me and her, and so we were very, very, very tight. And so up until I got 16 years old, like we did everything together. We shot together like that. She was like my person for the remainder of my childhood. Now she ain't take no crap. I couldn't like talk a lot. Like if I had, we'll get into that later. But I will say though, growing up, like my mother was literally like my best friend.
That's awesome. Okay, I like that word. What do you think, Kendria? How would you describe your relationship with your mom in one word when you were growing up?
Admiration. I really admired her.
Okay. So just watching her, did you want to be like, you wanted to be like her?
I mean, it was just, I don't know. I remember as a kid, and she worked in a hospital, and she would always come and pick us up from my grandmother's house. And it just popped into my mind that she would come pick us up from my grandmother's house, and I would hug her. She had the lab jacket on and everything like that. And I just smell her perfume, and I just embraced her like, oh, Mom, you smell so good, that kind of thing. And then growing, as I grew older, and even into now, I just respect her a whole lot. And I mean, I can go on and on about that, but teenage years, I fell off. Teenage years went the way because I thought I was grown, and just trying to be, but she didn't even know the half of that.
Okay.
But admiration, I would say, for her, just in a general like respect kind of way.
That's awesome. What do you think, Kawinda? Well, how would you describe your relationship with your mom growing up in one word?
So when I was younger, as a little girl, before her and my father broke up, I would say she was considered my best friend. Because at the time I was the only child. My mother didn't have another child until I think I was 15 or 15. So I was the only child for a long time. So during that time we were really, really close. But when the separation came, I'm gonna say around 11 to 12, there was a shift in our relationship. And we just like oil and water.
Okay. So for me, kind of the same. Well, when we were growing up, my mom, like I said, my dad was abusive. So my mom, she was consumed. She just was just trying to make it. She was just trying to make it herself. She was just trying herself to get through. She was just trying to, I guess, survive. So she was trying like in survival mode. Now she was a good mom. Like she was the kind of mom that would bake the homemade birthday cakes and celebrate our birthdays and Halloween costumes, and she was that. But as far as her just really pouring into us, that was something different. I guess she did the best she could. So if I had to describe her in one word growing up from the beginning, I would say definitely admiration and love. And I kind of felt sorry for her, you know, because I knew what she was going through. But after when she did get on drugs, and after we did leave my dad, it became almost like I was the mom. You know, the roles kind of changed. I was more looking out for her. I felt like I had to look out for her. So, yeah. So interesting. So my next question is, what are some lessons that you learned from your mom directly or indirectly? Like, think about some lessons that you can look back on now and you like, okay, I learned it from her. And I say directly or indirectly because sometimes I was taught things not to do based on watching her. You know what I'm saying? You just got taught just based on watching. So indirectly and directly, some lessons you learned from your mom. Whoever wants to go first. I don't want to just keep calling y'all in random.
Oh, goodness.
So you now, so go ahead.
On me?
No, Kendria. It was on her because she started laughing. The thing went up.
Okay, Kendra, what are some lessons you learned from your beautiful mother?
I have to use my words carefully because I don't know if she would see this. I just want to, I guess I am a lot like her as, you know, as I rear my own children and my own daughter. And I mean, I find myself leaving the same kind of notes. She would leave all around the house if we didn't do something, we didn't clean up something. Like she would have a note tacked up and say, "You forgot to do this." I mean, it was a whole laundry list. I haven't gotten to the point to where I wake her up at 3 o'clock in the morning because she didn't wash dishes. You know, I haven't got to that point yet, but that was my mama. Y'all forgot to wash these dishes, and I remember going in there just slamming stuff. Whoa, 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 whoa. She didn't care. She didn't care about my feelings at that time because she told me what I needed to do, and I did not do it. So here's that knock on it. Get up, get in there, and go clean up that kitchen. That's funny. I just sit here and remember this. As we grew up, I just remember her being more of the disciplinarian. Daddy was a little passive. So
okay.
we probably could wrap him around our finger and get him to do what we need to do. But mama, no. If she said no, it meant no. It wasn't no just standing there pleading your case. It was, that's what I mean. That's what's going to happen. Those are some hard lessons I had to learn. Mama was very not saying that she would sugarcoat her words. She didn't come at you in a mean way or anything like that. But I had the thing about not wanting to disappoint her. Mm-hmm. And so I was always trying to just do things the right way, you know. As I grew up and just seeing her go through certain things, my respect for her grew even more because I saw her go battle with some things that she handled in a way that I probably wouldn't have handled it. But she handled it like with grace and handled it with integrity. And I kept saying, like, I don't know how you don't want to bring the gangsta out right now, mama. I don't know. But
bring the gangsta out.
Like, I don't know why you just, you know, you handle it in this godly way, you know. And I'm like, you don't deserve that, you know. And people don't know you like we know you, and they come, you know, they coming for you and all that kind of stuff like that, you know. Like, I'm the kind of person, I guess me and my sister, like, yeah, we'll fight for hours. We do. you know, that kind of thing, because, you know, truly she was a good mother and still is a good mother to us. So those lessons I learned just by integrity, strength. I remember my mama coming out of my room. Mama had this couch in her dining room that we were not allowed to go in or play. She had this white couch. We could not go in the white couch room. So but I remember coming out of my room, and this is like 4:00 in the morning if I had to go to the restroom, whatever. Her dining room was right across from my bedroom, and seeing her on her knees praying. Okay, so for me, that was inspiring, because I never asked her Mama, what you praying for? Or I never knew. I just knew that, and it was a ritual of hers every morning to, you know, do those. So those lessons I think I've learned over the years, even as I have my own kids, you know, just remembering that praying for your kids is important. You know, she didn't tell me nothing directly, like, you need to pray for your kids. No, it's something I saw her doing, you know, so. Right. So those are lessons. I ain't gonna hog up all the time, but those were lessons that I do remember.
That's awesome. I love that. Okay, that's awesome. For me, let me see, lessons I learned from my mom. I think I learned more things indirectly. She never necessarily told me anything, but just like Kendra saying, you watch certain things and you pick those things up. One thing I will say about my mom, she's very creative. She's very resourceful. And she's just gonna make it happen. Like, I don't care what it is. Like, I learned that from her, that you got to make it happen. I don't care what's going on. She's very resourceful. She's easily to make nothing out of, you know, something out of nothing. Like, that's her thing. She's non-materialistic, and I'm like that now. Like, I don't need a whole lot. She didn't wear a lot of makeup and all that, so that's just how I am. I learned that, you know, some things you just don't need, and we didn't have a lot, so I pride myself on being frugal. Like, no, I don't want to do that. So I think those are some good lessons I learned from her about being creative, being resourceful, being a hustler. Like, you got to make it happen. I don't care what it is. You can't just sit around. If you need it, you got to go get it. You better open your mouth. That's one thing she's always say. Closed mouths don't get fed. You better open your mouth and you ask for it. The worst thing they can say is no. That's probably the biggest lessons I learned.
Yeah.
Janae, since you're on the camera now, honey.
So I was listening to Kendra, and I was just thinking about so many different things. I think I learned a lot of indirect things, but I think one of the things that she directly taught me is to build a relationship with God. And that is like one of the things that my life is built upon, is like my relationship with God. Like, she actively taught me how to pray, how to seek God, how to really live as a woman. She was really, really big on that. And so I think without that, I don't even know where I would be. So that's the most important lesson that she taught me, is how to build a relationship with God. Some other things that I think were amazing, but also have been some things that I'm working through as a woman, is independence. Like, my mother is big on being independent, and I think this was an indirect lesson, because she was very independent. Like, there were times that we didn't have money for electricity, or we didn't have money for heat, because I was raised in Kansas, and so it gets cold in Kansas, and so we would heat our house with the stove, like the gas stove, and it was just like, but be content where you are. But she made it happen. Like, and so she was very independent. I never saw her ask anybody for anything, not my father, and even though, you know, it was his responsibility, right. I never saw her. She never like mumbled a backbiting word when I was growing up about him. But she always, like, we lived in poverty, but you didn't know it. Like, like, my house was laid. I mean, it was a small little house in the hood, right? Like, and so people now, they're like, Janae, you are not from the hood. I'm like, I'm from the real. But the way that she the way that she she has such a grace on how she lived and how she like just took care of things, right? And so but the independence, I say, is such a strength, but can also be a thing that I struggle with because, you know, I'm married and I'm super independent, right? And super strong-willed. I have a vision in my head, and no matter what, that vision is going to be executed. And sometimes that can be a problem, you know, something like not knowing or not understanding the dynamics of being married and how to work that or how to work with that. You know, that's a huge thing that I have been trying to navigate, you know, as a woman and as a strong-willed, independent woman who is very career focused. She taught me to be career focused and goal oriented, and that has stuck with me my entire life. That's a huge thing for me, is to accomplish things and make things happen and create stuff out of nothing. You know, my mother was an entrepreneur and I'm an entrepreneur. So it's like all of these things that are passed down that you really don't realize that are passed down.
Right.
You know, she's very determined. She's super determined. Like, yeah, she's super determined. And I feel like that I got that from her. And, but one of the things that I think indirectly I learned is communication. I think I struggle with having hard conversations because I didn't get that opportunity to have hard conversations. So if there was something, and I think that this might be just something that's me, who I am as a person, but if there's like a hard conversation that needs to be had, or if I had an opinion that was unlike her opinion or someone else's opinion, then it was like, nah, you got to keep that to yourself. You can't share that because, you know, you're a kid, kids,
right?
You know, kids, they're in a kid's place, right?
Right.
They're in a kid's place. And so that was the biggest thing that I tried not to do with my kids, but I think it backfired because they talk way too much. They got too many opinions. It just backfired. So y'all see the time? Do we need to click off and come back on?
I think it would go all by itself.
Okay. I didn't want it to cut off in the middle of somebody's sentence.
I hope she would cue us.
Y'all good?
Kirby would cue us. We're good.
I'm sorry. You're gonna have to cut that out. I'm sorry. I just saw the remaining time come up, and I didn't.
We got like 9 minutes left in here. So once it cuts off, you know, we'll come back in. We'll go to the same link, and then we just pick up where we left off. So yeah, just keep talking, and I'll give like a cue once it gets towards the 1 minute mark. You're good. Yeah.
Sorry, y'all. I do so much. I'm sorry. Okay.
Good. All right. We just gonna keep starting from where we left off.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I'm listening to Janae, and I can relate to what you're saying, like about being independent and being married. So trying to be. I was raised independent. Mom was a strong woman. She's very strong-willed. Like I say, she was resourceful. She gonna make it happen. She not gonna sit around and just wait on it. She'll make it happen. Even though she was going through her own struggles, she always had that in her. She was just like, this is what is gonna happen. And so I think that was a struggle with myself and my husband as well. And we still kind of struggle with it 20 years later, that I feel like I know what's best for me, And he's like, I'm your husband. I'm like, I am every woman.
Oh man, so true.
So that is a struggle. So that's funny. I can relate to that. Kawinja, tell us, what are some lessons you learned from your mom?
So I've learned, my mother used to always say, don't do as I do, do as I say. I hated that. So I always said, when I have children, I'm going to lead by example, because I feel that our children are the first examples. So we need to lead by example. How can you tell, you know? So basically a lot of things that she used to try to fussing me about or make me do, I was like, but you're not doing it. So, so it was always a struggle for me for that. So that's one thing that I've learned to lead by example with my own kids. One thing that I did take away from her that was positive is she was always a nurturer. Like my mom always, when I was a kid, she was always affectionate, tell me she loves me and show it in her actions. She would take time out with me. We would play together. Like she would play with me sometimes. We do certain things. We watch movies together. So I also, do that with my own kids. I think that's very important. You know, a lot of times our love language is different. So I've learned over the years, like when I lived with my grandmother, I thought she was so mean, but the Lord had to show me later in life her love language. I just didn't understand her love language. Her
Yeah.
sacrifice for me was her love language.
Right.
So I make it, I make it my point to show my kids in my action and tell them verbally how much I love them. Like when I'm on the phone with them, when they come to the house, with my older kids and with my daughter that's here with me, I tell them I love them all the time and hug. And of course the boys don't want to be hugged and kissed on, but with my daughter, I hug and kiss on her. And I speak kind words to her,
Yeah.
that she's beautiful,
Yeah.
that she's smart, that she, I just try to encourage her. I try to speak life into her because I
Yeah.
know how it is when, people speak negativity in you. I'm telling you, like things that we think that we don't deal with, it comes from our childhood that is rooted in us.
Yeah.
So those
Yeah.
were the things, my mother was negative in that way. She would say negative words like "you stupid," "you'll never amount." So I made sure that I would not do that to my kids. Another thing that with my sons, them being older, and even with Chloe's dad, is when, with the father, don't speak negatively about the other parent.
Yeah.
um, I let them form their own opinion of the
Yeah.
parent, because when you're a kid, you don't want to hear that. That's still your dad. You love your dad no matter what, because you're a kid and you're seeing that person from a child's standpoint and from a father-daughter relationship,
Yeah.
not from that mother's intimate relationship with that man. So that was another thing that I made sure that I would not, no matter how mad, I would never, I never talk down on the father in front of my kids, because I didn't want that to be, they don't want to hear that. So those were some of the things that
I
you
like
know,
that you said leading by example, and that's true. Like we, grew up in the '70s, and it was still a different time. Like I remember going to like our uncle, our family's house, and the adults in there drinking and smoking, whatever it is that they're doing, right? And we're the kids, and we're just running around, but they're showing us these things, and so we're taking this in. Oh, drinking is fun. Oh, smoking is
right,
fun. This is how you have fun,
right,
and we're learning those things, and we can sometimes pick those habits up, and it becomes a part of our life. Like Kamundra was saying, those things that becomes a part of it, rooted in your spirit. And this is how you have fun, and sometimes you have to really work to battle those things within yourself. And it's like, where I get it from? That's what you grew up saying. This is how we party. This is how we get together. We get together. This is what everybody is doing. So I
like
can
even
totally.
dealing with dealing with controversy, or dealing with, um like some parents, I've heard some parents, like I watching my aunt, when she would get upset or she was going through something, she would just tell us, like when I would visit her house, she would say, "I have a headache," and she'll just go in her room and just shut down.
Hmm.
And you're teaching your child, like, not how to deal with their emotions or deal with
Right.
in a healthy way, so we
Right.
have to be mindful how we deal with circumstances, issues, or what have you in front of our kids, because they're watching and we're teaching them. If you battle with depression, guess what? 9 times out of 10, your child is going to battle with depression, because they're not going to know how to deal with trial and tribulation, which we all know that we're going to deal with trials and tribulations.
Deal with them. Good.
Yeah, that's true. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. So lessons learned. So when you look back, what are there anything that some things that you wish your mom would have taught you, or what conversation you wish you would have had with you? Like if you could say, okay, if she would have taught me this, or I wish she would have talked to me about this. I know for me, one big thing is like about relationships, about even friendships and relationships with guys, just so when I look back and I think about the things that I wish my mom would have taught me, and I know, I feel like every mom does the best they can with what they know, with what the tools that they have in their toolbox, what they've learned from their moms. But I wish she would have really talked to me about like relationships with other females, other girls, and with men. But I guess it's difficult to have that conversation with your daughter when you yourself has never really had a healthy relationship with a man. But I feel like I struggled a lot, just trying to find my identity within some guy. And it's hurtful now, you know what I'm saying? When I feel like I wasted a lot of time trying to find myself within some guy, or trying to find my approval within some group of girls, or just trying to find acceptance, when I wish she just would have kind of just instilled in me that I am enough. You know what I'm saying? You have everything that you need within you. And like Quindra was saying, that's something I really work with my own daughter. Like, girlfriend, you got it. You got everything you need. You don't have to worry about any outside thing or person to validate you. But I feel like I look for validation a lot because I didn't understand that, that's not how it is. People supposed to like you, or the guy's supposed to like you, or you're supposed to have sex, or, that's what you're supposed to do in order to be accepted. So I wish she would have talked to me more about that. And maybe if she would have even talked to me more about how she grew up, or, the struggles that she went through. And I know that's something hard to deal with your daughter. Maybe I could have understood more. So it caused me to be very resentful. You know what I'm saying? I felt like she just was neglectful. But when I look back on it now, it really wasn't neglect. It just was what it was.
Right.
But I feel at the time that she was neglecting me. Like, I feel like she was never emotionally available for me. Like, you didn't, you gave me the things that I needed, school clothes, supplies, if I wanted to go on a field trip, you made sure those things happen. But I feel like she was not emotionally available for me to guide me, no guidance. And I wish you would have just had a conversation about my career, my future, what I want to do, just the possibilities. And I wouldn't struggle so much as an adult trying to find my way. And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, that just the guidance, because I feel like I've always had to direct myself. I've always had to find my own way, and that's very difficult. And it goes back to saying about being married, and it's hard for my husband to understand that this is what I've been doing my whole life. I've been leading my life, My mom didn't direct me, so I had to direct myself, and it's still the same. It's still the same. So those are the things I wish she would have taught me. Janae, you're on the screen, honey. What do you think?
Okay, so I was listening to you, and I was really trying to think about what it was that I wish my mother would have taught me. My mom was so hands-on with me, and again, because it was just me and her. So she talked about everything under the sun, like everything.
Awesome.
How to handle this, how to deal with this. I know, like, even when I was, in starting relationships, like, she would allow me to bring my boyfriends around. We had a conversation because I couldn't have a boyfriend until I was 16, but there was this boy that I liked, and I was 14 years old. So we had like a family meeting about like having a boyfriend, and if I would have, and my dad actually was there too. So this is like, I was 14. And so we talked about, okay, well, you can have this boyfriend, but if your grades start to slip, or if this starts to happen, then, you're not going to be able to do that. So I think like my mom, and she's so serious about it even now, she is like committed to pouring. Like, and I think it's because as she was growing up, she didn't get that. And so just how we're talking about generational things, So I think that's something that she took away from her relationship with her mother that she didn't get poured into. So she pours into me so much, even now as an adult. But I think the one thing, and I talked about this earlier, is just even though we had really good communication about a lot of things, but the difficult communication, that's the thing that I wish that I had just received more guidance on how to have difficult conversations and how not to, like, when you're having a difficult conversation, just blow up or holler or scream or shut down. That I think that's the thing that now as an adult, it's not that I don't blow up, but I just will, like, let's not talk about it. It'll pass. You know, let's just not deal with it. Let's don't deal with it. Let's act like it's not happening. It didn't happen. And so I think as an adult, I've struggled to find my voice, and I've had to push through a lot of, like, insecurities and different things to just to have my voice and say, you know, this is how I feel, because I'm always second guessing. Well, what if I say this and this is wrong? Or what if I do this and this is wrong? And what happens if I say this and this hurts somebody else's feelings? And not really valuing my feelings as much as I should, but really placing a higher value on everyone else's feelings. And so I think that, you know, as I'm inching towards 40, is a thing that I'm, like, really trying to work through, is finding my voice and loving my voice, you know, and just really saying that it's okay that you feel these things, and it's okay to express yourself and tell others how you feel or how they make you feel. So I think that's the biggest thing that I wish I would have had more. But, you know, you can't get everything. You know, you can't. There are some things that God has to download in you, and so that you can pour that into your kids. That's the thing. Like I told y'all, sometimes they take it too far. But like me, when we're going through hard things as a family, like, I sit down with my oldest and I say, so how are you dealing with this? How is this making you feel? And, you know, she starts crying. I said, it's okay to have a conversation without crying, without blowing up, without yelling. Just talk about it, you know, and so that's the thing that I'm trying to work with them on, so that just like my mom took the pouring, not being poured into from her mother, and pouring into me, that I can take the having hard conversations and pour that into my kids, so that, you know, we'll keep just working on these different things as the lineage grows.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. I love it. I love the way your mom poured into you, and I love the way that you're taking the tools that you need. And I think that's what it's about. It's about the passing down, you know, taking what we got and then adding what we, you know,
we don't.
Right. So that's awesome. Kendria, what do you think? Is there any conversations you feel like your mom should have had, or you wish you would have had with you, or you feel like she covered it?
She didn't cover it all. Just to be honest, she didn't cover it all, and some of it's my fault. And I would say it's my fault because I had a lot of frustrations that I didn't even tell her about. And there was a lot of emotions that I've hidden from her, or didn't express to her about how I felt, so that she could comfort me during those times. There were some times where I felt to be really ugly because of my skin color. And when you're growing up as a child, you know, kids they don't mince words when they have feelings about how you look. So I was just always too dark, or, you know, ugly, or, you know, these type of things to them, and called all kinds of just bad things. But those things, I never went to my parents and said, so-and-so said that to me, or that made me, you know, feel less than, or that hurt my feelings. I've never gone to her and told her that. And to this day, I wish I had, because it did have an impact on my identity and the way I saw myself. And, you know, how people saw me, you know, and I let people,
Do you think that if you would have told her, do you think that it would have made a difference? What do you think would have been the outcome, though? What do you think would have been different?
I just think that giving her opportunity, just to say what she thinks of me, you know. And I
Okay.
think that's something that I try to pour into my own daughter, because I didn't allow my mother to be able to pour that into me. Not that saying that she ever didn't say that I was loved, but I just did at that moment. I never expressed that or told her how I felt about that situation in particular. So I'm always doing that to Kennedy. She's 11 years old now. So now I'm always telling her, you know, Kennedy, you're such a beautiful girl, or you're always this, because I miss having that.
Yeah.
Growing up, you know, that again, that was my fault for not saying it, but I didn't even know what to do with those feelings. I didn't know how to even handle somebody not liking me for who I was. And to this day, I mean, that's to this day, I think I try not to struggle with that, but sometimes I think I do. Sometimes it comes back, you know.
Yeah.
Being concerned about what somebody else says. But now, hey, I am 40 years old. I have arrived.
I know that's right, girl.
Right today. So I am there. And so it's just like, to me, it's like, whatever, you know, whatever you got to say. It let it roll off my back. It don't even matter, because what I have learned over the years, and like you said, Janae, some things your parents probably would never be able to tell you. It's something that the Holy Spirit has to tell you about who you are, you are, and who you are. So I let that determine now how I see myself.
Wow.
And so anybody can say whatever but I know who I am, and whose I belong to. You know what I mean? So on that spiritual level, I think that brings it back, you know, back into focus. But yeah, I mean, there was a whole lot of things. Like I said, I wish I was open, you know. Yeah. But mama never came and was like, tell me how y'all feel about boys. Or, tell me how you're
right.
You know, and mama was so strict about, you know, like us talking on the phone. Like we had the house phone. So the house phone was everybody's phone.
Right.
Then I begged them, can I have a phone in my room? So I had to put a landline in my room. It was just crazy. But, you know, those type of things, it's just not like we had big conversations about those type of things. So I'm already dreading the talks that are to come.
Oh, Lord, because they have to happen.
They have to happen.
You have to have conversations. Yes, because it's going to
say. And I'm already praying, Lord, please. Just tell me how I need to say it. Am I saying it too soon? You know, do I wait for this, or do I even see signs of this to bring it up? You know, help me see the signs where I do need to bring it up. You know, I don't want to be ignorant to the fact that she won't ever be exposed to conversations. I don't want to be naive to the fact that people introduce her to certain things. Do you know I dread this every time I talk?
Yes, I understand.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, like, you know, I know so many things. So many people are teachers rather than me being her teacher. But I want to be the first one to be the teacher, you know, because there's so many things that have been perverted about love that the world does teach us, and they make it a perversion. When God says it's actually good, you know what I mean? So I want to tell her the real, you know, I want to be 100 with her about those type of things, and not her believe in the perverted things that God has said is good, but we have put a different spin on it. So again, I want to make myself open.
There you go. We can't hear you, Kendra. I think your audio is lost.
Wait till I'm finished.
You should be open.
Bye. So for me, communication. I wish we would communicate, but I wish it was I'm gonna say comfortable. Can you hear me now? I'm sorry.
I can hear you.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was, more comfortable where I could, be comfortable enough to go to her about certain things, about anything,
Yeah.
communicating. Um, and also, I wish my mother would have, but she didn't have a relationship with God. She could have instilled in me biblical principles and taught me those things, because even from a little bitty girl, we would go to church. I love church. And I'll never forget, this is one of those do as I say and not as I do things. I never forget, this is when me and my mother was living alone in some apartments, and it was a church that was knocking on the doors in the apartment complex, inviting uh, the residents to come visit their church, and they would provide transportation. She signed me up, and I'm like, okay, you signing me up, but why you not going? But I
But you
thank
don't
God
want to go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, one of the particular Sundays that I went, um, I was supposed to be in kids' church, but I was like, okay, yeah. I went into the adult church, and I heard the pastor saying, if anybody wants to be saved, to come to the altar, to come down. So I went, and I had an experience. Like, I really felt the presence of the Lord, and
Mm-hmm.
I cannot explain it. It was a beautiful thing. So I went home and I was excited, and I was telling my mom, like, Mama, I got saved today. And I told her what happened. She was happy for me. And I was asking her, what is this I'm feeling? Why do I feel like this? She was like, well, what do you feel? And I was just saying, I just feel so good. And she didn't know how to explain it to me. She didn't know.
She
So
didn't
she
know.
had a brother, yeah, which was a preacher. And now that I'm older, he didn't know either. So, um,
Oh Lord.
yeah. So certain things like that, I wish my mother, but I understand she just didn't have it. She couldn't give me what she didn't have. But I definitely wish that the biblical principles, because some things I would have never got involved in had I known how to pray, or how to seek God for myself, or even know God. I didn't find that out until I was in my 20s as an adult. So that was one of the things that I wish my mother could have instilled in me. And I've learned with my own kids how important communication is. I didn't know it when my sons were young. When I had my sons, because when I had my sons, I was 18 and 19. So I was struggling trying to find who I was. I
Yeah.
was a kid self. But as I got older and the Lord started dealing with me, the Holy Spirit, like conversations that you want to have with your kids, God will tell you, hey, you need to have this conversation. You need to. So my prayer life
Mm-hmm.
is very important to me, because it also helps guide me and what I need to be to my children. So communication definitely has helped me to understand my kids, my older kids, my two sons, um, in a way, and help them to understand me, because I've had to have some conversations that I did not want to have with them. Even coming to my kids, and this is something else that my mother didn't allow, being that I went through a lot because of her brokenness, my father's brokenness. I never got a chance to tell her my truth, my reality, my hurts, what I endured, because that's too painful for her to have to hear.
Yes.
Sometimes
Yes.
you just don't want to say it, because it just reminds you where you failed.
Yes.
Not knowing that, because the enemy will still use that against you to keep you in that stuck place. But
Yes.
I know for me, and I thank God for that God allowed me, because I made some mistakes as a mother with my grown sons, and I had to have a conversation with them. I had to tell my youngest son. So I never forget, the Holy Spirit said, you need, because I said, I feel jealousy. I was like, okay, I feel the spirit of jealousy. I feel my son feel like I love Chloe, which is my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
more than I love him. Because basically they
Mm-hmm.
see a difference, because the mother
Wow.
that they know is not the mother that Chloe knows.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
had to sit down with him and explain to him. I said, I told him that I loved him, and I said, Mama, when I had you, I said, you gotta understand, I was 19. I said, I'm close to that. I was a couple of years older than what you are now. I'm saying you see how confused and how you going through, are you still trying to find your identity? Mama was trying to do the same thing.
Yes.
I could just break it down to him, and man, I'm glad I listened at the Holy Spirit, because my son broke down as if, like, man, I opened up a gateway for him to be open with me, because
Yeah.
he was holding on to pain that I had no idea he was holding on to.
Yes.
And I helped him to really get that release that he needed. And he was able, because a lot of times as parents, we'll assume that your kids are, they know I love them, or they know this and that. You
Right.
assume,
Tell them.
but
That's
you
true.
need to sit
That is
down
so
and have
true.
a conversation with them. How do you feel, about me having Chloe? And, I want you to know this. And I had to explain to him, and I apologized. I apologized the areas in my life that I failed you as a mother.
Yeah.
And then I had another time not too long ago with both of my sons, and I had their father to come, because he lived in Louisiana. I had him to come down so that we can have a heart-to-heart with our sons, because the Holy Spirit quickened me to do that. And I found out some things I had no idea happened to my sons. And my son told me why he was so rebellious. And I explained to him why I was so hard on him. So basically, we understood each other, and it wasn't this. So he understands just as well as I understand why. And that's crazy. Communication is so important, because a lot of times their reality is not our reality, and vice versa.
Okay,
So
yes,
it's
wait a
very
minute. I'm gonna stop you right there, because that is a key point. Their reality is not your reality, and that's a big deal, because perspective is everything. Everybody has their own perspective in a situation. Our mothers feel one way about how they raised us, and we feel some way about how they raised us. And if you have siblings, they feel some way about how they raised them. So that is a key point right there. That perspective is everything. And you
absolutely.
cannot assume anything when it comes to your kids. If you have not told them directly, if you have not shared that information with them, you got to assume that they don't know. It's not so. And so, oh man, that is so powerful. That is powerful. The fact that you have grown so much from being a young teenage mother to being a mother of as an adult. And and I can just imagine when I'm thinking about that, I'm like, wow, that's interesting how your grown teenage son was still having feelings of this is not right. I mean, this ain't my mama. This ain't my
Yeah.
mama.
Yeah,
So
because it made them feel like, I loved her more, because the attentiveness so I had to tell her I was immature in a lot of ways. When I was, when I had y'all, it was all about survival. And that's all I knew. Growing up, that's all I knew was survival. I didn't know nothing else. But as I seen the mistakes I made with my sons, and I've seen the effects in their own life, because I've had my sons to get in trouble, a lot of things. So I was grateful to God that he gave me a second chance at being a parent. And I was able to make those, do the right thing with Chloe. Don't get me wrong. I still don't know everything, and I'm still learning, but I'm totally different. So their story of me will not be close to me. They're two different mothers. I was a different person.
That is amazing. That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, because that's deep, and that right there can help somebody, because I think, like you say, we feel that they know things that they don't know, and our perspective is totally different. And I'm gonna just share this story right quick, and I'll move on to the next question, because when you said that, it makes me think about my dad and my stepmom. So my dad was very abusive to my mom, and he just wasn't a good husband. But he has a new wife, and he treats his new wife like, and I be looking at him, and I try not to be resentful, but it makes me upset. And I love my dad, I do.
Right.
But it makes me upset, and I had to ask my husband, like, should I mention it to him? And then my husband was like, but what's going to be the outcome? You're going to mention it, and then what result are you trying to get?
But it's good to mention it, though. If it bothers you, mention it. You guys may need to have that conversation, and he'll be able to.
It bothers me because I see how my mom still struggles from the things that you inflicted on her, the pain, the physical pain, emotional pain, that that you reflect on, and she's still struggling with today, that she's having a hard time dealing with. And you got this other woman over here who you have no children with, and she gets to do whatever she wants. She gets to go
He
travel.
was a younger version. Your father was a younger version.
He was a younger version, and that's exactly.
And you don't know where he come from. You don't know what he dealt with as a kid. Did he see abuse coming up? Was he angry? Did he have issues with his mother? You don't know, and he may have, since then learned a lot from that, like I did, as a parent.
Wow.
Because my dad
awesome.
Was in a relationship before he died with I consider her my stepmom, and the father that I know that was so abusive, he never laid a hand on her. He never laid a hand on her.
And it's just difficult. It's difficult, but I'm trying to understand. But my heart goes out to my mom so much. Like my mom and my sister, the only two women in this world can make me feel some type of way about me. You know what I'm saying? It's just something about being in her presence. My heart goes out to her. I feel a lot of sympathy for her, a lot of sadness for her, like things she could have accomplished or done in her life, and I feel like she was hindered. And it hinders me because it seems like I don't want to be.
You just gotta pray for her, because it goes deeper than that. It goes deeper into your childhood. A lot of the things, you attract what you are.
Yeah.
And I've learned, if you're broken, you're gonna attract brokenness.
Yeah.
And they were two broken individuals at the time. You know what I'm saying? So her pain and what she's going through, it was deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? And she, you just gotta pray for her that, that the Lord, she goes down into the root of it. Whatever the root is, deal with that root, so that way she could be set free, because that's the enemy that's still keeping her bound. And you're a grown woman, like you in your 40s, just like I am. Right. And she's still holding on to that. You know what I'm saying? That's the enemy that's trying to keep her bound, and she need to be set free from that. Because she's still giving that dad control.
It also binds me in a way, because I feel like I can't be too happy because she's not. You know what I'm saying? It makes me feel guilty about being happy or being, in my marriage or in my career, in my business, whatever it is, and that's something else. Wow.
You can't do that, because you got to recognize the domino effect. It's a domino effect of the enemy. You can't.
Okay, so I'm gonna move on. That right there, that really touched me right there. So ladies, if you can pinpoint one significant event in your life that was like the turning point of your life, just something that stood out. What is one main thing in your life that kind of stood out? I'm gonna start with you, Ken. Like one main thing that's like a turning point, or you, I don't know, switch was flipped, and I don't know, some type of transformation. Have you had any experiences like that?
Being a mother?
Just in general, just in your life, just.
Oh, girl. I think it all boiled down to when I was like in my early 20s. It was all in my early 20s. And I was really dealing with my spirituality during that time. And even at such a, I guess, young age, it was, I just remember watching something on television, and it could have been, I don't know. You would ask why a young child be watching TV. It was just something. So I'll never forget writing something in my Bible about how far you go on dates, and it was like, make this promise, or make a promise that it doesn't go further than, or I don't know what it was. It was just something like, it doesn't go further than kissing, or save yourself, saving your gift. And so I just remember that, and then I got this feel like this voice telling me that your life will be an example. I didn't really always know what that meant, but your life will be an example. Your life is not going to be like everybody else's life. People are going to look up to you, and you're going to be able to say you didn't do that. or you were able to abstain from, you were able to control yourself, you were able to, you know, everything that that normal, you know, women might have to have experience, you might not going to experience it that way, you know, that kind of thing. So it was like, that was a turning point for me. So then there was a struggle, because as you, being a young woman, and if you're dating, you're going to still go, you're going to go on dates, you're going to be proposed with,
Right.
going the extra mile, you know,
Right.
but what would you do? And I kept going back to that voice about, you are going to be different. You're going to be able to tell people that it is possible to wait till marriage. You're going to be able to say, those things. So, and I just never ever forget that there was a time where I heard this voice so clear. It was funny. I was listening to a song on the radio. It was a secular song, and it was something about loving you, because I am such a what you call it, a hopeless romantic. That's what they would call it. Like I love love stories. I love happy endings. I love all that kind of stuff like that. But it was like I was looking for it all in the wrong places.
Yeah.
And then a voice came to me and said, "Will you let me love you the way you're supposed to be loved?" And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Would you let me love you the way you're supposed to be loved? I just knew that was from the Lord. I just knew it was. And I was just like, okay, God, what are you doing? That was a turning point for me, and I guess spiritual growth. Okay. And so as I got older and trusting God more with what he was going to do with this wreck of me, like this mess of me.
Which is not a mess, girl. You were so far from a mess, girl. You can, girl, cut it.
Look, I shall not air all my dirty laundry on this. But I know it was a, when I say a struggle, a battle. Okay, because it's a battle between flesh and spirit. Okay, I ain't trying to get all churchy on y'all, but I'm just saying that there's a battle. It's a battle over your life and who you'll choose to serve. Okay, so it was basically like he kept telling me, you cannot straddle the fence. You cannot be hot or cold. You're gonna have to pick one. Okay, so Lord, I choose you. This kind of thing. So these things were pivotal in my walk, my life. And so, and the choices that I made going further. Okay, so those are these choices that I made for God, and everything I did not get right, and everything I kept getting wrong, I kept coming to him for forgiveness. Like, Lord, I know, I'm struggling with this, or I don't know how to make this decision, or I'm scared, or whatever it was. I went to God about all those things. No, I didn't go to my mama. I didn't go to her. It was just like, it was such, and I wish I did have somebody to really tangible. I ain't gonna say God is not there, but somebody to bounce those things off to and give it. You know what, Pam? I think that's why me and you, we sisters today.
And that's how we came together, because that's when I met you, like in your 20s, and that's kind of how we came together, like during that time. And I remember us having conversations about
all of that.
Your topic, yes. So
yeah, you really have been my sounding board. You really have been my sounding board. That's why I love you so much to this day.
Yeah, I was fast, girl. I was fast.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that that actual walk in my early 20s, that was some life-changing things. And as I've had children, it has changed even more. Before children, marriage changed even more.
Yeah.
Children being added to it changed it even more. Turning 40 changed it even more.
Right.
So it's like I'm still becoming. It's like I haven't reached this point. I ain't gonna reach it till I die. Go somewhere. But
it's always mountains to reach. I think for me, my turning point was actually kind of meeting my husband, because before that I was out there. I was out there. And my husband grew up totally different from me. He grew up in the church. His mom is a minister, and he grew up in the church, and I mean, that was his life, going to every service, you know, from a little boy. I mean, that was his whole life. So when I met him, he taught me a lot. He really did teach me a lot of things about the love of God, about how to love another person, about family. His family is very close. So I think my turning point was really, honestly, meeting my husband and just learning like how people really live. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is for real. Y'all get to, I mean, it just was different. It was just different from what I was used to. And he didn't introduce me to God, because I had auntie who I used to go to church with all the time. So I had been introduced to God, but I think he kind of helped shape my relationship with God, as far as, you know, praying for, you know, what you want, and fasting for what you need, and really depending on God, I guess I could say, like depending on God, because that's how he was raised, to depend on God. So I think that was a turning point for me, meeting my husband. What do you think, Janae? What do you think was a turning point in your life?
That is a very that's a very tough question. I've been trying to figure that out. I think I look back on my life, and I kind of just see transformation in different phases and different places. I feel like when I first moved away and I moved to Texas, that was a huge transition, because I moved away by myself. And I had to really learn how to depend on me. But I think the major transformation that I think I'm under it now, honestly. I think I am, yeah, I think I'm going through a major transformation now inwardly, and just realizing who I am, and what God created me to be and do, and believing in that. And so I think that yeah, I think I'm going through it now. I feel like that this is one of the most difficult seasons in my life. But I feel like in those difficult seasons, like, man, the oil that's produced when you come out is so powerful.
Right.
But you don't want to go through it, right? You don't want to. You have to.
Hey everyone, I'm gonna cut you out again. I'm gonna refresh the meeting, and then we're gonna come right back. Y'all doing good. Y'all doing good. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Come right back.
Yes. We left off again, and rock and roll. Keep talking. All right. Starting in 3, 2, and go.
I need to talk about those seasons again, honey.
Yeah. So I was just the season in my life, and it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough season. But I just know, I think the one thing that keeps me pushing and keeps me going is when I come out of this thing. And so one of the first words God ever gave me, and I don't know how we got here, but we here. So I said, I don't know how we got here, but we here. We've been talking a lot about the Lord, but one of the very first words God gave me was about transition, and how tough transition is, because the place that you were in and the place that you are going, they're both pulling you. And so in that pulling phase, it is just, it hurts, it's tough, it's uncomfortable, but you either are going to stay or you're going to go. And so as you're trying to figure out what that is, first of all, what that feeling is, as you're trying to figure that out, and then the steps to get to go, you know, because a lot of times we don't know what the steps are to go to the next place. And so we're struggling, trying to figure it out, messing stuff up. And then it's like, and the Lord, and so that's the first thing. He gave me that word, y'all, probably like 9 years ago. He gave me that word, and I wish I could find it, because I need it right now. But I really feel like that this is my pivotal moment right now in my life. And I was talking to a friend. I said, this quarantine has been the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And because I had just been like downloading and ministering and teaching me and talking to me because I was so busy. And I was so busy. And I didn't realize I was so busy because there were some things in my life that I just didn't want to deal with. And if I was busy, I didn't have to deal with them. I could just go. You know what I'm saying? And so he's been dealing with me, and I've been able to find my place again. You know, like I've been able to find my place, and that's been really, 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 really huge for me. And I'm telling myself, like, Janae, don't ever lose this place. Don't ever lose where you are, what you found, and what God is doing, because this is going to be the moment that completely changes your life forever. So it makes me emotional, but yeah,
it's like a reset. It's almost has been like a reset, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I love it. Kawinja, what do you think? Pivotal moment. What do you think was the moment when you were like, okay, this is life. this is life.
I have a lot of those, but I have two pivotal moments that were really tough. The first one is when I had to make a decision to leave my husband. We had been together 10 years, and I had to make a decision because I was battling within myself. Sanctified wife, sanctified household, Lord, I'm doing, I'm praying, I'm fasting, I'm doing, and I was beating myself up. Oh God, why? But then I said at the same time, one day I had this conversation. I said, Lord, you would not have me with somebody that would abuse me like this. And the Lord told me clear as day, I didn't, this is not what I wanted for you. You wanted it.
What?
Right. And the Lord said, remember when this happened? Remember when I showed you this? And he said, remember when, because I remember, and he brought back the day where it was just like a good feeling. And I know it was the Holy Spirit, but at the time I didn't understand it.
Right.
It was a good feeling that said, don't do it. Don't do it. And I called him and I was like, hey, I don't think we should get married. I think we should go ahead on this, This fool came to my job and kidnapped me from a job. Like, no, we're married. Yeah, that's a long story.
In real life, kidnapped?
Real life. So anywho. So yeah, the Lord was like, I showed you, and I was like, you right. But he said, I gave you what you want.
Yeah.
Just so you could see. So I was like, okay, Lord. So I had to make a decision, and because he was so abusive and just crazy, I had to walk away. So the house that we had, beautiful home, fully furnished, I had to walk away with just the clothes on my back. I had to escape. I had to first, I had to wait. I had to plot and wait. I waited till school was out. I told my oldest son, hey, I'm planning to send you guys to Louisiana because I'm leaving, my ex, at the time, my husband. So I'm going to leave him so we could be in a safe environment. So I sent them to Louisiana with their grandparents, and I let him drop me off at work, and as soon as he left, my cousin picked me up and took me to the airport. I walked away with just clothes on my back. I had to resign from my job the day that I walked out. I had been with my job, good job with Blue Cross Blue Shield for 7 years. I had to walk away from everything.
Wow.
With just the clothes on my back and get on the plane. So
and that's a pivotal moment. That was like a make or break situation.
Hey, it was a make or break, man. That relationship was starting to affect my health. I was wearing a heart monitor. And one of the times I was wearing a heart monitor because my heart started giving me issues. And I found out at that time that I had was called mitral valve prolapse, which is like a leaky heart valve. But I was having such anxiety attacks. It was like I was almost threatening a heart attack. It felt like it would wake me up in the middle of the night where it felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest. I couldn't breathe. It felt pressure. And I would be pleading to God, Lord, let me live. Let me live to see my sons grow up, Father. But God is so good because not only did he allow me to live a healthy life, I have a daughter who I would have never thought that I'll be starting this thing all over because my sons, Tamla, are grown men. Right. So I need to be starting all over with my daughter, and on top of that, to have 2 granddaughters. I'm like, God, you are so amazing, because at that time I couldn't even see that far.
Right.
I
Wow.
had to get out of it because it was literally life or death. And my sons was getting older,
Yeah.
and I didn't want them to have to take matters in their own hand because, if anything happened, it would be my fault because I allowed it, because I stayed. So
Right.
yeah, it was time. I mean, it was a hard, decision to make, but I had to do it, and it was painful. Like she was saying, the process is necessary, but it don't necessarily feel good. So,
Mm-mm.
But that's growth. That's what that's called. That's called growth. That process, that means you are growing, you are being stretched. And when God stretches you, it's not going to be comfortable. But when you get on the other side, you can throw up your hands and be like,
Get on the other side.
ooh, and that other side, man, that in between, though, God, that was pretty painful, y'all. I mean, to start all over again, job. I didn't even make the money that I was making before when I finally came back to Texas. It was just a lot.
Can I ask a question?
yes.
How did you get the strength to get up and walk away?
I was just, I was tired. And then when God told me that, I took him back. I left him and I took him back that last time. And I really didn't want to take him back, but I said, okay, I'm going to give him this shot. And when I started seeing the abuse was now you're starting to come from my kids and my heart, the issues that I was having with my heart, I knew it had everything to do with the stress was so unbearable. I was fearful. I was in a prison with no walls. I was so, like you in a house, when he not there, the kids are talking, we are talking. We hear the car pull up, everybody get quiet. Kids
Wow.
go in their room. I'm just sitting there and then and every day at work, when it's time for him to pick me up from work, I'm praying to God, I'm saying, Lord, let the Prince of Peace go before me. I'm praying that, Lord, let it be a good day. Lord, let him not put his hands on me. These are the prayers I'm praying before I even get in the car.
Wow.
Mm-mm.
So it was bad. So I had to get out of that. I mean, it was life or death. Like literally, y'all, I could have lost my life, literally.
Sounds like it.
Whether it was by his hands or by just staying in there and fighting this thing, like, Lord, trying to be this wife and people, older people, God gonna, he's gonna work in your, man, let me tell you. The Bible says, do not marry anybody that you're not equally yoked with. You do not marry somebody that's unequally yoked with you. And I didn't know that. That's why I said those things I wish my mother, I didn't know those biblical principles. I didn't know that. That's why we have to know God for ourselves, not just knowing scripture, but I mean a relationship. And that has been very pivotal in my life, is just having a relationship with him. My prayer time is so important to me because he talked to me. And when he told me that, he was like, you remember when this happened? You remember that? And then I was like, you right. But the devil was telling me, nobody will want you, you better marry him. Who else will ever ask you to marry you? I didn't think enough of myself. I look at that now and I laugh because y'all have no idea how many proposals I've had since then. I was like, man, the devil really have you bound. But that was one major pivotal change in my life that I had to make. Just at that point where you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I was at that point, I had to get out of it.
Okay, so ladies, one thing, if you could sit down with your younger self, what is one thing you would tell your younger self? What is one message, just one message you would tell your younger self?
I would tell my younger self to seek after God. Like, honestly, y'all, like for me, God has been he's been a mother and a father. Teaching me things that my parents could not teach me.
Yes.
I would tell my younger self to seek after God. I would tell my younger self how strong you are, how beautiful you are inside and out. Just those things for sure, because that has been the foundation, the solid foundation in my life to thus far. When I found God, when I got sick and tired and stretched out with my panties showing on the altar and said, Lord, here I am, he came in. Man, when he came in, my life has never been the same. It's been some hills and some valleys. And as I said, the stretching. I mean, we'll forever be evolving as long as we on this earth.
Right.
Grateful to God that everything that I've been through, because it's who I am today, and my stories can bless somebody else that's lost.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would definitely tell my younger self to seek God, and that's so important in life to me. In my life, it's been.
I think I would tell my younger self to that just I am enough, just not seeking approval from other people. I spent a lot of time seeking approval from other people.
Yeah.
And it was, the older I got, I realized that it was useless and pointless. Like I spent a lot of time and energy on things that really didn't amount to nothing. So I think I would really tell my younger self that focus on the things that will make you better instead of focusing on what you think people want to see from you. Yeah. So I think that's one of the main things for me. What do you think, Kim? What would you tell your younger self?
Two things. Two things. The first one is you are worthy. Okay. Yeah. You are worthy, and nobody else can define your worth other than God. Okay. Yeah. And his word says you are more than you are worth more than rubies. Okay. Yeah. You know what? And I think so too.
Yes, ma'am. I think so too.
I think so too.
Yes.
And that's something I always want my daughter to know, that you are worth it. Okay. Yeah. You are worth somebody opening doors for you. You are worth being loved. You are worth all of that. You are worth all of that. Okay. And nobody can take that away from you. Okay. The other thing is that my feelings matter. Okay. Yeah. And so, and it's okay to voice that. Don't let people silence you. And one of the things I've learned, even just from watching this, being a part of this today, is that I think I heard Janae say that you have a voice. And sometimes we can't always take, I'm the kind of person that is always thinking about what other people think, or encouraging of their feelings or whatever. But what about mine? Has anybody ever done it, for me to care about what I feel, or, and like I said, I hide a lot of things from people, my feelings, my emotions from people, and try to be not really stoic, but just tough or strong, and inside I'm like, that kind of thing. So, and Kennedy, my daughter, is the exact opposite. Kennedy does not have a problem sharing her feelings.
Wait a minute, save it, because I'm gonna talk about the we're gonna go into the daughters in a minute. So say that point. And I know that my girl, I know she got a personality all of her own. Okay, Janae, what's one thing you would tell your younger self?
I think you took mine, but I think you are enough. That you have everything that is within you is what you need. Like God created you with the fulfillment. It's a finished work. You are enough.
Why is it so difficult for us to understand that the Creator created us with everything that we need, and we're always searching for this and that and that. You have everything that you need. Like, we have to constantly remind ourselves. Even now, I have to remind myself that I am enough. Like, I have what I need. Stop seeking outside, whatever it is. That is so crazy to me.
But it's so real though, and I think it has to be a trick of the enemy, because either the enemy or the enemy, right? That we're just seeking for something else to make us whole, to make us happy, to make us feel fulfilled. To find our fulfillment in him anyway. So that's why I think that it is a trick of the enemy, because when we're out there seeking, then we're not seeking him.
That's right.
Seeking it in him. And so I think for me, that's the biggest thing. And Kendria?
That's right.
Okay. She was talking about a while ago about like her color and how she battled with that. And that was one of the things that I battle with a lot. Like, my weight has always been a thing. It's always been like, I'm not going to be accepted because I'm heavier, or I'm not going to be, nobody's going to want me because I'm thicker, and it's always been a thing. Even It's something that I've consistently and constantly battled in my life, is just not feeling good enough because of that one area. Like, I'm not smart, right? Or I'm not pretty, or I'm not all this because I got this one thing, and that one thing overshadowed everything else in my life. And a lot of that took away took away my voice too, because I was like, ooh, let me shy away into this corner because of this one thing that I have. And I couldn't, and sometimes I still can't get past it, you know? And so I think that's the thing, like, Janae, you are enough. Everything that you need is already in you. And at the appointed time, it will be released.
And it doesn't matter how you look, what size you are. Yeah. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter. None of those things really matter. That's just your outward appearance. And that's what I am like. And actually, Amherst is teaching me that, like, she doesn't, like, if I said something, and this was, I don't know what we were, Biz Marquis or something, I say, oh, he look ugly. And somebody said about being ugly. She's talking about, why you say he's ugly? And I said, you know what, you sure? I said, he's not ugly. He's just who he is. And that's just what we've learned. You know, people always trying to label somebody as this, you're that, you're this, you're that. And we internalize those things. And then we in turn judge other people based on those things. We'll look at other people and judge them based off of things that we're insecure about. Right. Oh, I'm big, but she's bigger than me. So, you know, or, oh, I'm dark, but she's darker than me. Oh, I'm whatever it is. We'll judge people. We'll put those insecurities on other people because we're trying to make ourselves feel better.
Or you think they are better than you because, or you think they're better than you because they don't struggle in that area. So, like, because they're skinny, they got it all together. Or because they have whatever, you know, they don't struggle in the way that you struggle. But everybody struggles in something, but we don't feel that because we see them a certain way through our insecurities. And they don't deal with that stuff. And so then when you find out the place that they're struggling, they're like, well, that's crazy. I can't believe you. That don't make no sense. Well, shoot, your stuff don't make no sense either.
Yeah, that is so true. We always think that we're the only ones that struggle. Everyone. I don't care. People be on the internet, on Facebook, saying this, that. Everybody is struggling with something in some area. It's no way around it because that's what life is. Life is a constant up and down, round and round, is this, is that. So nobody has it together. Everybody want to act like they have it together. And sometimes I just want to scream, like, I don't have my shit together. Like, please, somebody come help me.
Like, do anybody see me? Help me.
come rescue me because I don't have it together. I need to have it together. So that's crazy. So, okay. This is another thing I wanted to go fast on. Give me a proudest moment or an accomplishment that you can look back and say, I did that. One proud moment or one accomplishment. I want to talk about something positive. What's just some proud moment or some accomplishment that you like, yes, that was all me.
Well, for me, just recently, it's been long because of life. Sorry, I'm on my cell phone. I should have been on my computer. Things are popping up. But for me, I just graduated with my associates, but I'm still going because my passion is thank you, guys.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time coming because of life, you know, off and on, going to school. And I was able to walk because when I was in high school, I didn't get a chance to walk. I had to pick up my phone in the summertime. So that was truly, it felt good that I did that, you know, despite all that I've been through, I did that and I'm still, you know, pressing forward.
Congratulations.
Awesome. I love that.
Thank you.
I love that. What do you think, Janae? What is your biggest accomplishment, your moment, something you're proud of about Janae?
That's so funny. My daughter, my oldest, came and asked me that last night. And she was like, besides having me and I guess what is your biggest accomplishment? Because she's like, Mom, I know you have to say me and then maybe Reagan. But so aside from my kids, I think really birthing I Thrive. So I have a nonprofit organization for girls 12 to 25. Yes. And that is something that I toiled with and had fear about for 8 years. And when it finally came to fruition, that is something I'm so proud of.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm proud of
Good.
you.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
awesome. Okay. Kendria, so proud moment and accomplishment.
For the first time, I am speechless because I really don't know. I don't know.
And I was thinking, because I really don't know. I mean, I have a degree, but to me, okay, I like school. It wasn't to me like a big
Mhm.
accomplishment. It was like, okay, I go to school. I love school. So getting a degree for me, it
I
was just
think
simple.
what you're doing now is amazing. Like your Revitalize Me movement.
Right.
That you're
That's
doing,
amazing.
that's amazing. Empowering women and
Yeah.
pouring into their health, and you're doing your journey on fitness. Like
Really
you're
are.
doing some amazing things right now, Tamala.
Yeah.
Like,
I appreciate that. And see, that's how we are. I think to me, I'm like, it's not a big deal, but
girl,
I'm
yeah,
It is a big
that's
deal.
amazing. Yeah.
okay.
Because
Well,
we
that's
just never know what is gonna become. And Kendria, I know if I knew you, I'd find something. We just
Bless
never
you.
know. We never know. Like it's the Bible says, "Despise not the small beginnings," and so we don't know what everything is gonna become of. Like
Absolutely.
this is a movement. This is something, and you
It
keep
is a
pushing
moment.
and pressing towards it, and you're gonna be like, "Whoa, who knew?"
Yeah.
Right.
Tamala, let me just say, so I can straighten your crown for you. Straighten it up, sister. I mean, you are stepping out on faith, and you, I mean, starting a business. And I know there's many things that you have, started to do, but to step out and do your own thing, that takes a lot of guts,
It does.
It does. And for you to make yourself vulnerable before the world,
Wow.
it takes a lot of guts to
Yeah.
do that. And every time I see you do that, I'm like, look at my friend. Like, could I be like that? That kind of thing. So straighten it up, baby.
Yeah.
You are
I really appreciate that. And so when y'all say that, I think now, and I'm getting emotional now, that makes me emotional, but when y'all say that, I'm thinking now my proudest moment is probably just kind of accepting myself. Like, even in my relationship with my husband, we struggled in our relationship in the beginning so much. Like, we really went through a lot of hard time. And to just now even finding my voice in my relationship with my husband to be like, this is who I am. I am 42 years old. You can't treat me the same way you did when you met me when I was 23. I am 42 years old. And so I think that's my accomplishment. Now I can stand up to him with my voice and be like, no, this is what I want to do. And this is what I'm going to do. Because I used to be like, okay, well, what does he think? And asking him, is it okay? It just, I don't know. I feel like he had me bound in a way. But when I turned about 37, 38, after I had Amherst, I think after I had Amherst, I was like, honey, I mean,
you grew some wings, huh?
yes. And so now I think I'm more expressing what I want for me, what I want to see in my relationship, how you gonna treat me, what I'm going to accept. And he's starting to do the same because I'm like, Chris, we're growing. So I expect for you to grow and change. So I expect for you to your what you accept from me to be different. And so that's what we're kind of working on. So I think that's a proud moment to not just be stuck. I think a lot of marriages fail because people don't want to communicate their growth. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago. We've been together for 20 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
But I'm not the same person I was. I don't feel the same way. I don't act the same way. I don't walk the same way. I don't talk the same way. I'm not the same person. So you gotta have to treat me how I am now.
Accordingly. You gotta learn me again. You have to learn me again.
Yeah, and you have to train them you have to train them. And at the same time, I have to understand that he's also going through growth. He's not the same 24-year-old man that I met. So he's also changing. Yeah. And we're just now kind of meshing that, okay, we're really grown together. And I think that is a proud moment because Amherst gets to see growth in us and gets to see a healthy relationship. Like we'll argue and then we'll be right back, so she's like, can see those things. So that makes me feel proud. That makes me feel proud.
So now, Kendria, you got to dig deep. What you got?
You have to. I'm trying to. Let me see.
Okay. Well, okay. I am not a official teacher yet. I'm in the same place you are, Kawendra, with I'm trying to get my associates and then transfer to a university, and it seems like it's taking forever. But I think that once all of that, I have that under my belt, then I'll have that proud moment of accomplishment. Before then, I mean, because I was working at a private school for 17 years, and majority of those years I was a pre-K teacher there, but still not certified as a teacher, but still a person who was working with pre-K children and seeing a lot of children come and kind of go and come and go. And the proudest moments have been watching them learn. Okay. And so I really
that's beautiful.
that I'm a teacher at heart. You know, even though I don't have a degree under my name, you can't tell me that I'm not one. Okay.
So, and I want to add to you, Kendra, that I'm proud of you because you went back to school. Like, we've had this conversation as well. Like, you were like, you know, how is it going to look? What am I going to do? But you stepped out and you went back to school in between time when you had time, and still trying to balance your family, your job, and everything. And that is amazing. Like, you have 3 children and a husband. That is amazing. And then you still have your ministry. You, girl, I don't know why you sitting up there saying there's nothing to be proud. You are doing it. And when
you judging me, girl. That's amazing.
Yeah, and not giving up along the way. You know how easy it is just to give up and say, man, this is too hard.
It is. And I think I'm at that point now where I'm trying to continue to motivate myself and say, look, you've been through too much not to keep going. So,
that's right. Keep pressing. Keep pressing.
Keep pressing. Press in.
Yeah. Okay, ladies, what does your relationship look like now with your mom? Like, how would you describe your relationship now with your mom? So we talked about when you were younger, how it was. So think about it now. What is your relationship like now with your mom? Regina, you rolling your eyes. We can definitely
don't do me.
Why? Why not?
Cut that out, producer. Okay, let's see. Here we go. So I think, like how I said, growing up, my mother was my best friend. And then even as I got older, she was still my best friend. She's actually still one of the closest person to me. We're just in a difficult season. We're and you know how I said I'm in a very difficult season,
right?
And it has transitioned, or it relates to all of my relationships, my close relationships. So I'm just in a tough season and just trying to figure a lot out, and it's tough. But I think my mom has been pivotal in so many things in my life. And I'm trying to figure out, because she's one of the most important people in my life, but I'm trying to figure out how to balance her, how important she is, and my family. And it's difficult. It's hard. And I feel like I have this disease to please. And I feel like that often I don't please. I feel like I don't please her often, and it's a tough thing for me. It's just a really tough thing. So I'm having to try to figure out how not to be so engulfed in pleasing people.
I can relate to that when it comes to my mom, because I feel like I was saying earlier, she makes me feel guilty. You know, a lot of times she makes me feel guilty. My mom, she never really worked. Like, she always worked some odd jobs. Like, she's never had a career. So she's never just like worked or have a retirement plan. And now she's 60 plus, and your friends are retiring and doing these things, and you're now still trying to find somewhere to work because you still have bills. And so I feel guilty when I can't like give her money, or when I can't pay something for her. And I'm just like, you know, I don't know, it's difficult. I love her, but it's difficult to kind of like communicate with her, because we're like on different levels. I feel like I'm the mom, you know, so it's hard to communicate with her as her daughter. And sometimes she can make me feel small in a way that's so uncomfortable. But I love her, and I know she loves me, but she's always been like she's always been a self-centered person. And I say that because when she was, you know, with her abusive husband, she had to focus on her, you know, her well-being. Then when she was addicted to drugs, that's self-centered. You focusing on what you need. And even now, it's just all about what you need. And she doesn't know how to, I feel like, give, but she always wants. You know what I'm saying? She always wants from me. And it makes me feel some kind of way. It really does.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a
I don't know how
spirit.
to explain it. It just makes me feel like, and I feel like I don't do enough.
Yeah, that.
You'll never
that.
do enough. You'll never be able to do enough. You'll never be able to do enough in their eyes.
So I think like, so with my mom, she is kind of the opposite. So she gives, right? But then you don't feel like you give enough, you know? Like I don't feel that I measure up often because like, or I just feel like I always fall short. And it might just be because of where I'm at in this season. But it feels like, and I can't say, hey, I can't do this or I don't want to do this. And it'd be like, okay, that's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's always like, ooh, I just won't say anything because I don't want to upset her. I don't want to make her, you know, angry because she's given her life to me. She's giving everything to me. So then it's like, why can't you, you know, then you need to do that. You know, and so it's tough, you know.
And that's a form of guilt as well, because it seems like that's a form of like manipulation a little bit. It's just how mamas have this like mama can make me feel like a little girl. I'm like, I'm a grown woman.
Like, yes. And it's not that she actually says it though. She doesn't
but
say.
But that's a feeling. She don't have to say it's a feeling, it's a vibe, the energy from her. Like she don't have to say it because you know her. Like you know this person. You know her look. If she look like this, you know what that means. If she says on the phone, all right, Janae, you already know that's like, girl, she's gonna do what I
do. Right, yeah, right. Like get it together. What's wrong with you? Like, come on.
So they don't have to say it. There's something about my mom telling you that just like
you just always want to please your mom. You always want to please your mom.
You do.
You want to make her happy. You want to make her proud. And even though she doesn't say it, you feel bad about yourself if you let her down.
I do.
So what makes you, so Janae, I asked you, what makes you, how can I say this? So what makes you think that you're not pleasing her?
When she get mad, girl, she
when she get mad, is it
like, well, what makes you feel like, well, then just sometimes, her, like how her interactions just make it like, well, this ain't, I need this from you. And if I can't give that, well, why? You know what I'm saying? It's just, I think like kind of like how Tamala said, like you can get that look or you can get that sound and you know, ugh, my mama didn't like that, you know? But yeah, it's a lot. So yeah. But I think it's just right now. So this is a right now. That's why I was like, oh, why this gotta come? Why this call gotta come now?
Because I think the Lord is transitioning you where you're becoming, you know, like some relationships, I think that it's gotta take a back seat. And I think your relationship with the Lord is right now in this season is more important. And it's not about people pleasing regardless of who they are. Wow. And I was just reading today, I don't even know what book I was in. I don't remember the address, but it was basically saying like you have to forsake your mother, your brother. Sometimes you have to forsake certain people because what God has for you to do or what he needs from you.
Oh Lord, I need that word. Yes.
So, and I think that's what it is. And I think sometimes parents, they feel like because you're their child that whatever they actually, well, you should do it regardless. But as parents, we have to be mature and understand that our kids, once they become grown, they have their own life. You know, and you know your child's heart. You know if you got a selfish child, you know if you got a child that's very considerate. And I think sometimes they are doing a manipulating thing or making you feel bad. You may not know that they're doing it, but that's what they're doing. And sometimes it can come from a selfish place.
And you know what? Because my sister and I are totally different. My sister is like, she don't care. She gonna talk noise. My mama do not do my sister the way that she does, and she does not. And I have addressed it like, Mom, why you don't do that? You know what? You wouldn't have told her that, but you
Because she
come
knows she could get away with
because
it.
I'm a sensitive one. I'm very sensitive, and she knows that I'm like. She knows that my heart is for her. Like when we were younger, well, my sister moved out early. She had a baby early and moved her baby daddy. So it was me and my mom for a long time when she was really in a struggle. So it was just her and I, and she knows my heart is for her. She knows how much I love her, and she uses it against me in a way that's so not right. You know what I'm saying? It makes me uncomfortable, and I just be like, Mom, you know, how can you? I can't even tell her. You know what I'm saying? I talk to my husband about it. And it makes him feel bad because he's like, dang, that's messed up. But she knows where she can push my buttons, but she does not do my sister the same way because she knows my sister is not taking
That's
one
right.
Yeah.
So she's using it to her advantage. She's using my mom used to do that too. And I had to just, and my ex-husband, honestly, even though it's crazy as he was, he helped me to see that. He was like, your mama playing you like a puppet. You know, she's using it to her advantage. And you're gonna have to stand up to her. And I'm like, that's my mama. You know, like, no, that's my mama. You know, but I learned that I had to show her, like you said, Tamla, a lot of times I had to be the mother anyway. So
Yeah.
at that time I had to show my mother tough love, you know. And we are the same way with your mother as far as the choices that she's made in life now that she's older.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That stuff is coming back to bite you in the butt because you didn't plan, you weren't thinking about all that.
Yes.
Especially when you feeling good and your body is strong and this and that. You ain't thinking about that.